Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with Life on Mars. Last time on Life on Mars, we had what I called Sins of the Father. I don't remember if we actually checked what it was called, so why don't we just go ahead and look at that real quick. Let's go ahead and look at the name, the unofficial name of last episode, which was... Is it the safe cracker or is it the side cracker? The safe cracker. Alright. Alright, well it was called the safe... Well, I called it Sins of the Father because that sounds better. But yes, so it was a whole plot around mentors. How they discovered that Gene's mentor... Harry Wolf was actually setting up robberies, so A, he could frame his arch enemy Arnold Malone, and B, so he could have money for his retirement for when he would eventually die from his cancer. And they found out about it and they stopped him. Also, Sam's mentor was there in the past, DC Glenn Fletcher, and yeah, all in all, it was very interesting. So you may have noticed that my voice, I'm speaking a little lower than normal. I didn't realize that this was going to happen until pretty much I just started recording, but I can already tell my voice is a little shot. This morning I recorded my reaction to the second My Hero Academia movie, which involved a ton of yelling and hype and stuff, so... I think my voice is exhausted. Unfortunately, I do have 2 more videos that I need to record today. This and then the next episode of Mr. Robot. So, if my voice is a little more deeper than normal and a bit quieter and a bit softer, well, you're probably going to enjoy that instead of my normal yelling persona. So, yeah. Anywho, just thought I'd let you know about that because, yeah, I can definitely hear it and I can feel it that my voice... Oh, my voice is tired, but that's okay. We're going to do this. I'm going to get through this episode for you, the people. So with that said, let's just go ahead and get right into this episode of Life on Mars. Here we go. Alright, how can I be sure? That's going to be the name of this episode.
I'm telling you, he's not going to come out of this all there.
Don't listen to him. He's talking bollocks.
No.
He's basing this on a hunch, for Christ's sake.
What do you think, Sam?
Gov's waiting outside. Phyllis just took a call. IRA. A bomb's been planted outside the school. We've got 15 minutes. Dynamite.
Oh, shit.
Shit.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute. Dynamite?
That's a little old school, ain't it? Well, it's... 1973 is old school, but still.
It can't be the IRA. They don't use dynamite. They never will. I mean, have.
Nah.
That bomb that went...
So shouldn't you get a bomb squad in there?
Any news from Bomb Squad? No, still engaged, Gov.
Oh, okay, never mind.
What the hell do I have to do to get you people to believe me?
It's gonna be
Well,
very
if you're
difficult.
so sure, boss, why don't you go over and check it out?
No. Don't do it. Don't do it.
All right, I will.
God damn it, Sam.
So what's the matter now, Ray? Is your bottle gone?
When you'd quite finished, ladies.
Oh, you're all right. I haven't got anything to prove.
Oh my god. Maybe this is where Ray dies.
Right.
Oh! Well, this is gonna be awkward. Okay. First off, I don't feel bad. Second, if it wasn't Ray, it was going to be Sam, or no one, if they had listened to the Gov. And 3, fuck him, so I don't care.
Look, I had to investigate terrorist methods as part of my training.
Well, it doesn't look like they trained you very well, does it?
Ooh.
Look, I know about now. They've got Semtex, right?
I mean,
They don't use that until 1986.
if it wasn't the IRA, it could just be someone
Mainland
else.
Britain.
You have to remember, we work for each other around here, not against.
But if it wasn't Ray, it was going to be Sam. So... And Ray's a bastard anyway.
Beating the walls up.
I still don't think it was the IRA.
What does
How do you think
IRA
I
stand
spend my
for?
time here, Tyler?
This hasn't got anything to do with that IRA bomb going off, is it? Hasn't
No.
been confirmed that the IRA were responsible for that explosion.
Don't you worry, Frank. Discretion's our middle name. Top of the morning for you lads.
Oh my god.
Know anything about some
Discretion.
missing dynamite?
All right then, sulky bollocks. If it wasn't the IRA or any other terrorist group, who blew up that car then?
IRA must be Irish then.
WI.
Rights of Irish immigrants, rallies, meetings. What set up the
Maybe
unions yourself?
Irish Rights Association? I don't...
Regular
Full
Karl
disclosure.
Marx by the
Don't
looks
know
of it.
what it means.
It does if he's called Patrick O'Brien, and it just so happens he hasn't turned in for work today.
Back in '69, got him sent
That's a
down
little
for 2
sus.
years.
Did you hear him talking to his paddy mates?
Exactly, no. But his eyes are close together. That's always a sign of someone shifty.
Thank you for the help, ma'am.
We're looking for a
I
Patrick
haven't seen him.
Friendly bunch, aren't they?
No. That's coming from
Where's he
Gene.
now?
Explosives fella's just been hung up. Dynamite used to blow the car matches the dynamite from Miller's Yard. Same make.
That's why. Chris, check out the list of street names we found in O'Brien's locker. Let's nail this bastard.
Alright. I mean, maybe it's someone setting up the Irish?
Innocent until proven guilty. Does that ring any bells?
The law doesn't apply to maggots like him. Come on, O'Brien, stop pissing us about.
I know what IRA stands for
The
now.
monkey, the organ grinder. Make of car.
It said it was up to us to find it.
Bastards.
We have to
Right,
find
Phyllis,
it.
From now on, you stay behind the desk. Only you are to answer the phone.
What if I need to go to the ladies' club?
Cross your legs.
Duh.
You've done this before.
Once, at Hyde, and I'm still here, aren't I?
No.
Dead moron's no use to anyone.
Oh god, he's gonna try to defuse it? I mean, it's dynamite. It's probably not that difficult. Oh god. You just gotta yank it out, I guess.
One thing.
Oh, it's which wire?
Okay,
Yellow or red?
I'm sure it is.
You were sure last time. Okay, it was red.
It was the red. I couldn't remember.
Well, luckily the bomb squad got here in time.
You're condemning a man before he's even been tried, for Christ's sake. Because I know he's guilty! And what if he's innocent? What if he gets sent down and the conviction's overturned? Because then you may as well become a recruitment officer for the bloody terrorists. And as for the public's faith in the police, no one will trust us. No one!
We're the police. Everybody trusts us.
And where I come from, they don't.
No.
Not if they're all bloody like you, eh?
Oh shit. Ray. It doesn't look horrible.
You okay? Ray, you okay?
Oof.
Yeah, fine. I'm fine.
Bomb took a hit on him.
He's got PTSD.
The man's a bloody hero, and you're accusing him of having the clap.
Post-traumatic stress disorder. I've seen it before. He needs counselling. He needs someone to talk to.
He's a police officer, not a fairy.
Oof. 70s are rough. Oh no! Kick her! Kick her now, please!
Red lorry, yellow lorry.
What do you want?
I hate that she just
Red wire,
moves.
yellow wire. Bang! You're dead, Sam. Oh dear. You and how many others?
Is this where Sam admits that he's not always right?
Mr. Motor Man in the back here. Hey, Ray. Ray,
Muh.
Sorry?
you up for it?
It's too right, Gov.
See? Bollocks of steel.
No, he's fucked up.
Hang on.
Did you realize you were holding that? Ooh. That is some PTSD if I've ever seen it. Oh god, the pool! But he has to climb up too.
Ray, it's not O'Brien! Ray, it's not O'Brien. I don't think he's armed.
Got him in the eyeline box.
You read me?
What do we do?
Wait! No!
Oh!
Shit. 870, we need an ambulance, Phyllis. We need an ambulance at the Irish Centre now.
I mean, it didn't look like a horrible shot, at least.
I tried to warn you.
I had to shoot, Gov.
I told you to wait.
What else was I supposed to do?
Wait!
At least I did something.
Well, maybe you didn't hear me.
Bloody hell, it's like the blind leading the deaf.
No.
Who do I believe?
Believe who you want, Gov. Trust who you want. Like I trusted D.I. Tyler before I got caught in the explosion.
Did you trust him?
Do you really think you were talking to a priest before?
Sorry. The smell of the whiskey gave it away.
No.
You haven't met our priest, huh?
Maybe it was Miller himself? Maybe he's setting it up. Oh.
Jesus. We were right. O'Brien did work at that school where the first bomb went off, but so did Frank Miller. Look, he's marked it on the map.
Mm-hmm.
He kept it locked away in a drawer where he thought nobody would find it.
Come on, let's see what else we can find before the Gov calls us.
Okay, good. It's a start, at least.
These building plans. Underground tunnels on Kennel Road.
Maybe Miller planted that list in O'Brien's locker. Maybe...
Okay.
O'Brien's a perfect scapegoat for Frank Miller.
How do you know?
Look, you know when I said I wasn't wrong? Well, I was. But I was right about this not being the IRA.
No.
I was right to follow my instincts. Just like you said.
Gene's
go
done
with
that a
your
couple
feeling.
times.
Just taking your lead.
Ooh.
So I'm right.
We both are.
But yes.
Just as long as I'm more right than you. Okay?
Yes,
Let's get to
Gov.
the bank on Kennel Road. Phyllis, get a unit over to Clay Street. Get the area cleared just in case.
Okay.
Right. Don't come in closer.
Whoop.
Don't, please, Miss Miller. What would your daughter say if you go through with this?
You shouldn't be in this line of work, love. It's too dangerous for a lass.
You sound like my dad.
No.
Just think how proud you were on graduation. That's why you're doing this, isn't it? It's not about the money.
No, it's about his
about his
daughter. Aw.
She's right, Frank.
Good on Annie to appeal to the human.
Please. How old's your boy?
He's 10.
How's a 10-year-old ever going to understand what you're doing, Frank? He won't. He'll think somehow this was all his fault. And that'll be in his head forever. Is that what you want for him, Frank? Is that what you want for your family?
This is good. Appeal to the humanity.
That's it.
Alrighty. Oof. Alright. Ah, you knocked over the thing.
I think DCI Hunt has something he'd like to say to you.
Have I?
No.
Well,
Apologize.
you know, O'Brien. You'll make mistakes, eh? Sorry.
No.
I was a bit late for sorry. I've been falsely accused. I've had the crap kicked out of me and now I've no job.
Yeah, but look on the bright side. Still got your health. So you know. Every cloud.
You know,
I guess.
100 years ago, my grandfather, he worked the bogs in Connemara. He came over here to try and make a better life for himself and his family. No one trusted him. Try and make a better life for myself.
Well, a better life? What, by taking part in a robbery?
I had no job. I had no money. I was desperate. Like your man Miller. Except I'll never get a chance to run my own business. Send my kids to best school, drive a fancy motor. Do you know why? Because all our kind are good for is shoveling shit, making bombs, not right? Do you know something, big lad? I'm sick of shoveling shit.
Oi, oi, oi! Where you going with that?
My new house.
On your way. Be out in just a nightie.
70s are rough. I say that as if the modern age gets better, I guess.
Where you're going, Cartwright, you'll end up commissioner.
Steady,
No.
Gov. You'll have a run in the flaming country next.
Well, maybe we'd be better off if a woman did run the country.
No.
Look like a worse job of it than what the fellas have done.
I've got a feeling you might regret saying that one day.
No.
There you go.
We hope you're strong enough to come through this.
Alright.
Listen, I forgot to say thanks. I owe you one.
For what?
For helping me.
Yeah.
Kit Kat will do nicely.
Tell you what, seeing as it's you, I'll make it a chunky one.
Chunky?
No.
That doesn't mean the same thing. Great job. Okay, that's episode 3 that I will be calling How Can I Be Sure? Very appropriate, I guess, for, how can you be sure? The facts are the instincts. So let's see. It's not going to be that. The bombing. Most of these unofficial titles are a bit uninspired. Just the bombing. Call it. How can I be sure? That's a really good one, Alrighty. Well, an interesting episode, to say the least. An interesting episode. So, okay, let's go ahead and start off with, I guess, the elephant in the room of Ray and the bomb. Okay. Yes, Sam was wrong. Now, he wasn't wrong about it not being the IRA. It wasn't the IRA. It was framed to be the IRA. But it was that was not the IRA, but there was still a bomb there. If it wasn't going to be Ray, it was going to be Sam. Yes, it's still based on Sam being wrong about there being a bomb there. But if it wasn't going to be Ray, it was going to be Sam. So I don't see necessarily how this is Sam's fault.
Well, go on then, big man. It's all yours.
I didn't say that.
So what's the matter now, Ray? Is your bottle gone?
When you've quite finished, ladies.
Oh, you're all right. I haven't got anything to prove.
I mean, he says later, I trusted Tyler, and it literally exploded in his face. I mean, he's going off of, I trusted Sam, and I got caught in the explosion. I don't know if he trusted Sam. I don't think he ever has or ever will trust Sam. So, if it wasn't Ray, it was going to be Sam. Like, what would have happened if... What would have happened if it was Sam caught in the explosion? Would they have all looked at Ray and been like, what the fuck, man? You know? Would they have looked at him and, when he said, like, oh, if Chris is even speaking to me, would they all give him dirty looks? When they're passing around the thing to collect money, and would Annie have said, oh no, this is just Sam's mates pitching in? Would that have happened? If it wasn't Ray, it was going to be Sam. Or Gene would have pulled both of them back and been like, what the fuck are you... Like, there were three options. Sam gets hit by the blast, Ray gets hit by the blast, Gene keeps both of them back and keeps them in line, and no one dies. Or no one gets hit by the blast. So, I don't know. Well, it's time to look something up. I've had to bring over my laptop a number of times this week in this week's videos. Had to do it for MHA, Season 5, Episode 17, JoJo, Part 4, Episode 9, Prison Break. I think I did Prison Break 2, Season 2, Episode 3, I think. Did I? Maybe I didn't. Oh, yeah, I did, because I was just looking up an actor. So, you may have noticed in the middle of the reaction, I looked up IRA. I found the provisional... Hang on. Sorry. I found the Provisional Irish Army. Or Provisional Irish Republican Army. Now, that's PIRA, but... Okay, it's the Irish Republican Army, also known as the Provisional Irish Republican Army, and informally known as the Provos, was an Irish Republican paramilitary organization that sought to end British rule in Northern Ireland, facilitate Irish reunification, and bring about an independent socialist republic encompassing all of Ireland. Socialist republic, that jives with what they were saying here. Because it says, regular Karl Marx. It was the most active Republican paramilitary group during the Troubles. What the hell are the Okay. The Troubles were an ethno-nationalist conflict in Northern Ireland that lasted about 30 years from the late 1960s to 1998, also known internationally as the Northern Ireland Conflict. It is sometimes described as an irregular war or low-level war. Okay? The IRA saw itself as the army of the All-Ireland Irish Republic and as the sole legitimate successor to the original IRA from the Irish War of Independence. It was designated a terrorist organization in the United Kingdom and an illegal organization in the Republic of Ireland, both of whose authority it rejected. The Provisional IRA emerged in December 1969 due to a split within the previous incarnation of the IRA and the broader Irish Republican movement. It was initially the minority faction in the split compared to the official IRA, but became the dominant faction by 1972. Okay? The Troubles had begun shortly before when a largely Catholic, non-violent civil rights campaign was met with violence from both the Ulster Loyalists and the Royal Ulster Constabulary. Okay, like a constable, excuse me. Culminating in the August 1969 riots and deployment of British soldiers. The IRA initially focused on defense of Catholic areas, but it began an offensive campaign in 1970 that was aided by weapons such as Irish American sympathizers and Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi. Oh, shit. He used guerrilla tactics against the British Army and RUC in both rural and urban areas and carried out a bombing campaign in Northern Ireland and England against military, political, and economic targets and British military targets in Europe. Well, holy shit. That's a lot to take in. There's obviously more on this Wikipedia page, but we're not going to read all of it. Well then, this is one of those things where, you know, I'm sitting here as an American in 2021, and I'm thinking, I slightly know of Irish-English conflict. Not a lot, though. I remember... this is the most obscure reference I could make for this, but I remember the movie The Foreigner. Have you ever seen that? The Foreigner was a movie... It was a Jackie Chan movie, actually. And it was about Jackie Chan and his daughter living in, I believe it was London. And I think... Spoilers, slightly. Slight spoilers, but basically, like, his daughter is killed by one of those bombings, and so he goes on a vendetta. He goes on a vendetta against the people that did it, eventually leading him to, I guess, Irish National or Irish Republicans, I guess this is the Irish Republican Army. I would say it's probably Irish Republicans is probably an appropriate term. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But it takes him to, I guess, Irish terrorists. You could also classify that as, I don't know. Okay. Long story short, it takes Jackie Chan to Pierce Brosnan, and then he beats the shit out of people because he's Jackie Chan. And I don't want to say that was the first time I really heard about it, but it definitely, I mean, it caught me off guard. You know, you watch the trailers like, oh, here's just a fun Jackie Chan action film. And then it's like, oh, no, it's about Jackie Chan getting caught up in Irish conflicts, Irish-English conflicts. Like, okay, interesting. So if you will excuse me, hopefully you'll excuse me, you will excuse me if I am not up to date on Irish-English conflicts and the whole business about them. Sorry, I just don't really know too much. So, slight disconnect on this episode, I will admit. You know? I mean, I do... Like, it's pretty easy to understand, you know? Like, the whole thing about, like, okay, so it's basically here... The Irish are basically treated as, you know, second-class citizens, and you know, it's like Patrick said at the end. You know, he's basically he gets shit jobs. He came to England to make a better life, but it's just not. That's just not what he's getting. He's not getting a better life out of this. You know, he gets shit jobs. He can't send his kids to good schools. You know, just because of who he is, because he's Irish, and it's definitely interesting also having that juxtaposed with the end there with with that other like couple that was there, where Gene immediately like, "Oi, where you going with that TV?" And he's like, "Oh, my new house." And it's like, "All right, get out of here." It's like, oh geez, you know, it's that prejudice. Now I don't know. Again, not being familiar with this, maybe you guys can sort of fill me in the comments. I mean, I found that if there's something I'm not really sure about, like the what was it, the Hillsborough riots? Is that what it was called from the football episode a little way back? I didn't know much about that, and you guys filled me in, so I assume you guys are gonna fill me in on some of this stuff in the comments, which is always interesting to learn about. You know, always interesting to learn. So. And of course, if Dad was here, I'm sure he could tell me everything. So, yeah. This is one of those shows where it's like, okay, this may have helped. It may have helped if I had that extra source of knowledge just off to my left. But that's all right. That's all right. So I don't know, like, how deep this goes or how long this has gone. But, you know, I mean, just there, you know, where Patrick is saying, oh, well... What was it, 100 years ago, his granddad or his great-granddad, you know, just... I don't remember what it was exactly. Goodness, I can't see either. Let me skip ahead.
I'm falsely accused? For the crap kicked out of me, I have no job.
Yeah, look on the bright side. Still got your health, so you know. Every cloud.
You know, 100 years ago, my grandfather, he worked the bogs in Connemara. He came over here to try and make a better life for himself and his family. No one trusted him. I wanted his family living next door to them, but it was all right for him to be doing all the shitty wee jobs that the English didn't want to do. That's why I came here. Try and make a better life for myself.
Well, a better life? What about taking part in a robbery?
I've no job. I've no money. I was desperate. Like your mum, Miller. Except I'll never get a chance to run my own business. Send my kids to the best school, drive a fancy motor. Do you know why? Because all our kind are good for is shoveling shit, making bombs, not right? You know something, big lad? I'm sick of shoveling shit.
So that whole thing, I mean, you know, I say, you know, I don't really know the history and stuff, but that stuff I understand, you know? I mean, you take one look at America and we have similar issues. And it's one of those things immediately where I'm like, how does this happen? You know? Like, okay, if you go to the modern day, and you look at how Muslims can be treated in our world today, and suddenly some of that stuff this guy is saying in 1973, yes, granted it was written in 2006, but 1973 still somewhat resonates. You know, nobody wanted them to. This is a guy who was written in 2006, taking place in 1973, talking about something that happened 100 years ago. And he's saying, you know, well, nobody wanted my grandfather as a neighbor, you know? Nobody wanted to know him. But he was okay, you know, taking the shit jobs. I mean, you look at that, most recently, yeah, that has happened for the Muslim community, especially, you know, especially after 9/11, where, you know, they are treated like shit by people, you know? And yeah, there are people who you don't do that, let's say. But it does happen, you know? It does happen even to today. It happens. So that I understand. That, you know, when he's talking about that, it's like, oh yeah, that stuff, and that has happened since there were two people that were slightly different. You know, that's the other thing, you know? When I look at this and it's like, wow, I'm watching this in 2021. This was written in 2006, maybe 2007 by now. Written in 2000, we'll say 7. Written in 2007, it takes place in 1973, and it's talking about his grandfather from 100 years prior. This keeps happening, you know? It keeps happening. Whether it's the Muslims, whether it's black people, whether it's Irish, it happens. You go all the way back. You go all the way back to when there were two different people. I mean, I remember this. There was a YouTube video where they says, like, and they were kind of joking around, but it's very accurate. They sort of said this in a funny way, but it is very accurate, where it's like, people not getting along has happened since there were two people. When one person looked at another person and said, well, you're not me. And then they fought, and that was that. That's how it happens. Just down to, you're not me. And then shit happens, you know? It's this great paradox of humanity, I suppose, where we all look around at each other and think, well, I'm better than them, you know? I'm better than them. And it's a mindset that we cannot get rid of. It's a mindset that has been here and will continue, even down to people who don't look at other people like that. You know, they don't treat people like, you know, they don't treat the Irish or black people or Muslims, they don't treat them like shit. But they look at the people that do all these things, and they look down on them. Slight bit of a paradox there, is there not? I know, we're getting a little heavy. Life on Mars gets heavy. We should all just admit that. This show gets very heavy sometimes. So, but I mean, that's the thing, is that we all just sort of look at each other and we're like, well, I'm better than you. You're not me. And I'm better. So you must be shit by comparison. You know? And it's one of those things, because it's been happening throughout all of human history, that I just sort of sit back and I think, and this is where maybe I get a little existential, and I think, no other animal really has this problem. At least not to this extent, I believe, you know? Like, I don't think this really happens with dogs, you know? Like, you get two dogs in a room. Yeah, maybe if they don't get along, that's one thing. But, I mean, they're just sort of animals, you know? Because that's the thing. You could even look at two different species of animals. Like, if you look at a dog and a cat, they don't get along. But they don't get along because of, honestly, just more animal instinct. But, I mean, you get two dogs together. Like, you get a German Shepherd and a Chihuahua. You know, they're not going to just inherently hate each other, or they have some weird prejudice. No, and I know this metaphor is getting off the rails. This metaphor is getting incredibly off the rails, and we'll circle back in just a moment. But like, you know, you get a German Shepherd and a Chihuahua together, and nobody cares. Like, they're just two different kinds of dogs. Who cares? And see, this is my problem, is that I start to get existential, like, man, no other animals have this problem. But now I'm losing myself in my own metaphor. So let's go back. Let's go back to talking about humans. But honestly, we look at each other, you know? And it's one of those things too, because again, like, I'm curious about how this tension between the Irish and the English started, but I don't know if the answer's really going to help me. It's just the English people that look down on Irish people. Thus tension. Do I really need to know? Like, there's nothing that's going to have happened to justify that, you know? I mean, and it's the same thing. You look at the modern age. I mentioned 9/11 with Muslims, and does 9/11 justify people looking down on Muslims? No, it's not their fault. It's incredibly not their fault. So they weren't involved in it. They weren't on those planes. You know? So that's the thing. It's like, I'm curious about the conflict, the history of the conflict, and the tension and stuff, but it's probably not going to tell me anything. And that's the thing, you know? And I look at this stuff and it's like, okay, you know, sometimes, because, okay, logic, if we go to I don't want to say an older example because I don't know how old this is, but I guess another example, because we also brought up, you know, America's problem with that, you know, with not just black people, with a lot of people that aren't just white people. But you look at that and it's like, well, America has a lot of problems with racism, you know? Like, you know, white people being racist to non-white people. And then I watched this and it's like, well, wait a second. Like, it's one of these things, like, I guess it's my mind trying to make a logic, but there's no logic. And that's the thing. With this sort of hate and prejudice, there is no friggin' logic, you know? And with this, I'm looking at this and it's like, okay, if you show me this guy playing Patrick O'Brien, you show me Patrick O'Brien and you show me Gene Hunt next to each other, neither of them talk. How am I supposed to know there is literally any difference between them, you know? Like, I could look at them and be like, they could be family for all I know. They're just two guys. Just two average-looking guys. Patrick starts talking with an Irish accent, like, oh, okay, he's Irish. It's one of those things, you know, like, I don't. Yeah, maybe I don't know where I'm going with what I'm trying to say now, but it's one of those things where it's like, okay, what? It's like I want to think like, okay, so something happened that made the English look down on the Irish. Probably nothing. It's probably just that the English look down on the Irish. And I'm not saying all English look down on the Irish, you know, but it's probably, you just sit here and it's like, what happened? Humanity? I don't know. Do you need anything specific? No. And it is sort of the same thing. It is the same thing when you look at, like, you know, when like, you know, Europeans and Americans started enslaving Africans. And you look at it and it's like, well, was there something that caused this? It's like, no, it was just those white people being like, meh, fuck them. That's it. Like, it's literally just down to, fuck them. So, and the thing is, okay, I'm going to say another thing. I'm going to see if you can get it without me referencing it completely. I feel like on one of these shows, because this is 1973, I don't know how Irish-English relations are now. I don't know when The Foreigner came out, but it wasn't too far back. I remember when The Foreigner came out, I got really sick that weekend, so I didn't go see it in theaters. I had to watch it on streaming later, but... Oh wow, I spelled that right in one take. 2017. That came out October 13th, 2017. Less than 4 years ago. Less than 4 years ago, they were making a movie, albeit a Jackie Chan movie, but they were making a movie about a politically fueled terrorist attack. Less than 4 years ago. So, you know, sometimes I look at this stuff and I like stuff where it's like, well, it takes place back then, you know, when this shit happened. And I think, well, and people, like, sometimes I'll see like, oh, well, but nothing's happened, you know? It hasn't changed, you know? And I think, well, okay, instead of tap dancing around it, maybe I'll just address it specifically. The first thing that pops into my mind is the Doctor Who episode, Rosa, in Series 11, where plot of the episode is this racist from the future comes back in time so that Rosa Parks won't keep her seat, won't, you know, stay at her seat on the bus. That way, it'll affect the timeline and horrible things will happen to black people. And I remember I saw someone say, well, what the fuck is the point of anything now, you know? What's the point of Rosa Parks doing this if thousands of years in the future there's still racism anyway? Which, honestly, this ties into last episode. The last episode with Glenn Fletcher, where Sam was saying, you know, someone has to start. Someone has to fight. And he says, why me? And it's like, you know, why do I have to fight? Because someone needs to start. Someone needs to stand up for what's right. Even if it's difficult, someone needs to stand up for what's right. So I kind of think about that in relation to this, where it's like, okay, you know, this guy is talking about prejudice against the Irish 100 years ago. He's having it in 1973. This was written in 2006, and I'm watching this in 2021, where it is still relevant today. And you sort of stop and think, you sort of get this pessimistic view of like, nothing's gonna change. But you do your best. You do your best. You don't just discriminate, you don't be prejudiced, you don't do that. You do the right thing. Just because someone else isn't going to do the right thing, that does not give you the excuse to then do the wrong thing. We took a really roundabout way of moving, I guess, to that point. I didn't even think that was the point I was trying to make in the first place. We're just talking, we're just talking. So, and this discussion's been going for like a half hour, and I've still got like other stuff to talk about from this episode. So, I'm gonna move the laptop back, and I'm gonna power through the rest of this episode really quickly, and then we'll end it there. I just wanted to, I guess I just wanted to really get into that. So, Ray had PTSD. I'm gonna get the feeling that's not going to stick around. I get the feeling we're gonna kind of go back to a status quo. So yeah, but that was interesting. The PTSD from the bomb, and the whole thing. Sam, what do I do? And granted, he didn't listen. He said, he said, oh, well, you said you thought he wasn't armed, so I took a chance, basically. But yeah, that was not good. He probably needed some therapy after that. And the whole thing of facts versus instinct. I do like the whole thing with, I do like the whole thing where he says, it's an instinct. I'm just following my gut, but I do also have some stuff here to back me up. And I like how he says, yes, it's not the IRA, but it is related to that. It reminds me, again, going back to the football episode, where, when they say, Gene was right because it was a football related attack, but it wasn't the other team. It was someone from who supported the same team, So yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Just the facts versus instinct. Do you go with the facts or do you go with your instincts? And Sam, he had to go a little rogue. He did have to go a little rogue, but he ended up getting it. So yeah, they were both right. But Gene was a bit more right than Sam, and that's the important thing here. And then I also like at the end with Miller and the whole thing of bringing up his humanity, which definitely, I feel like all credit to Annie on that one for bringing up his daughter and stuff like that. So that was really, really good, where she brought up his daughter, appealed to his humanity, and then Sam ran with that, definitely. So that was really, really good too. I did like that. Yeah, I guess that's basically it. I know this is we really did go on a long discussion there about prejudice and Irish English relations and stuff like that. But it's kind of a big deal on this episode. I know we didn't really talk about too heavily on what happened in the episode itself, but I think this was good. See, I do kind of feel bad that I didn't talk too heavily about. I didn't talk too much about a lot of the events in the episode. So I don't know, but I don't know. I feel like we had a good discussion here. So yeah. That is basically it. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around to any of those. There's a playlist for all of my Life on Mars reactions, as well as another video you can go click on if you want. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to check out any of those. See you guys later.